So I want to post a response to Fred's video uh, where he asks, "What is enlightenment?" and he discusses many things in the video. It's about 20 minutes long, but one of the distinctions which he tries to draw in regards to the meaning of the word enlightenment is that between, well, really the Western uh, socio-political transformation, which has many um, features. There's a scientific revolution going on, but there's also a sort of renaissance of the human spirit and imagination, of the human sense of autonomous uh, individuality and reason, which began to shake Europe, the foundations of European civilization, uh, and I guess the 15th 16th, 17th centuries, and really culminating in the French Revolution in the 18th century. Also with Kant and the whole German idealist movement in the early 19th century. And then since that period, the Enlightenment is the Western Enlightenment has been sort of on the decline, seemingly at the same time that the Western technological and industrial edifice has grown. So on the one hand, you could say that the Enlightenment was a great success, and that through technology we have rationalized human life, rationalized nature, in fact. But really, the reality is that this technological revolution, this industrial revolution, this mercantilistic and now capitalistic, which is really just a revamped mercantilism and colonialism. Techno-industrial capitalism has brought the planet into the sixth mass extinction in its history. Life probably being here for around 4 billion years. There have been 5 prior mass extinctions. Human civilization has now certain, or at least certain features of Western industrialized civilization have brought our planet, the biosphere, into the 6th great mass extinction, where about 1,000 species, more than the average background rate that we would expect, are going extinct every year, mostly because of habitat loss. But the Enlightenment as a project, if we could describe it as that view of the human in relation to the earth and to nature, which says that the human is to subjugate nature, to rationalize it, to turn nature into his own instrument for the pursuit of his own rational ends. This project has failed because, as it turns out, it's just as rational to murder deviant populations as it is to try to protect all peoples and to institute democratic societies. Human beings are not purely rational, nor are we purely individually autonomous in the sense that we can think entirely for ourselves. I mean, it's an Enlightenment value, and one that I think we all still hold and take for granted, that one should think for themselves, not just assume that authority for the mere reason that it is authority and that it is traditionally held to be worthwhile, despite lack of evidence. Rather than take anything on authority, one, of course, wants to find out for oneself. We want to get experience. We want to know based on our own powers of reason, based on our own experiences. But part of our own experience is for example, our relationship to other friends. And even if we are academic scholars or scientists, our knowledge consists really in a phenomenological sense. Uh, our knowledge consists of the relationships, the stable linguistic relationships that we are able to build up with our colleagues. Science depends on creating these networks of signs which we can share in the lab, in the journals. And it's only when that sort of empathic and sympathetic bond between scientists is formed that a paradigm takes shape and a scientific discipline can flourish. So knowledge is a collective act. And enlightenment would always have to take into consideration the desires of the community as a whole, the state, you could say. And so when we're talking about Enlightenment philosophy, we want to pay attention not only to Kant, this idea of a sort of rationally acting individual who even ethically is controlled by a rational will rather than some passionate instinctuality. We have to pay attention to Hegel as well, where there is a spirit, an objective spirit, larger than any individual. I mean, there are some world historical individuals like Napoleon, Alexander the Great, George Washington, who take charge in particular historical situations and confluences of causes. They take charge and become the voice of the idea in history, the voice of the eternal in that particular time. But there's also a sort of collective organism. There's an entity larger than any individual, which has its own emotional movements. So Hegel's just as important as Kant. Now, Eastern Enlightenment, I think that'll require another video, which I'll make later.